Welcome back, everybody. So, Thanksgiving is happening really soon. And just because it's going to look different this year doesn't mean that we can't enjoy all of our sweet treats. Our next guests are here to show us how to make apple crumble in two unique ways. Joining us from Winnipeg are the authors of Jenna Ray Cakes and Sweet Treats, and they also happen to be twins, Ashley Kosowan and Jenna Hutchinson. Hello.
Hi, Lainey. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here.
We're excited to meet you and to see your creations as well. And I've actually been baking for a little while now. I quite enjoy it, but when I bake, I go for flavor, and it doesn't look like the things that you make. My baking creations are kind of a mess, but they taste good. So what is the key? What is the key to making our baked goods look pretty?
Well, taste is the most important part, so you're definitely more than halfway there. But honestly, practice. Getting that perfect swirl on a cupcake takes practice. Piping the perfect macaron shell takes practice. Smoothing out a cake exterior, getting those sharp edges takes a ton of practice.
Years of practice.
Years of practice, so there's no workaround. But with all that practice, you got to eat all of your attempts and your mistakes, so there's really no downside to it.
Also, no downside to it is the friends that don't bake and get to eat all the treats that you do. So cinnamon apple crumble, I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite desserts that I do not bake. Other people do for me, but you've made it into a cake. So tell us a little bit about how that's going to go down.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest here. I don't love apple crisp. It's not my thing, but there's something with this cake. I know, I'm so sorry. No, it's not a popular opinion, but so I turned it into a cake and I actually really enjoy it this way. So there's something about the spice sponge cake, the salted caramel buttercream, the salted caramel drizzle, the cinnamon spice. It just all comes together really nicely. So this is our 6-inch cake, and there's 4 layers of cake in there because we baked 2 pans and cut those into half. So there's 4 layers of cake and 3 layers of filling. And the filling between the cake layers is where you get really creative. That's where you add all of your different elements. That's where you can add your texture. So that's where we have fun with this cake. Yes, this one has the salted caramel buttercream, and then it's topped with our apple filling, our spice crumble, and then we put a heavy dose of salted caramel on there. We like to drizzle it and make sure you get every square inch because you want every bite to have that flavor in there. Salted caramel, we use it on its own like that, or we also mix it into the buttercream as you see here. So salted caramel is by far our favorite recipe. We use it on everything, and it's pretty easy to make, but it takes a lot of focus. You're going for a beautiful golden brown color when you cook down the sugar in the water. This is something that you don't want to undercook because then you will lose that rich, delicious flavor. And if you overcook it, you burn it, so you have to start over. So once you reach the color, you remove it from the stovetop. You add the cream slowly while wearing an oven mitt with a whisk. And the oven mitt is crucial because as soon as that cream hits the hot sugar, it's going to steam up, and that steam can burn your hands. So take caution when doing this step. Then you add the room temperature butter and the salt, and you whisk it together, and it's a beautiful velvety texture, and it's really delicious.
That looks so advanced. I was looking at that like it was a NASA science project. But it looks delicious. That's why you guys are the experts. What about the icing though? Because as obviously I have no icing technique. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, so keep in mind I've been doing this for over 10 years and I have a ton of practice. She makes it look really easy. Yeah, but it's taken me a while to get there. My biggest tip is to make sure your cake is cold. I think lots of people skip that step and it's so important. So when your cake is cold, you trim the edges, all the brown edges off your cake. I do that because when you cut into the cake, it just looks better aesthetically and also gives you a nice smooth finish to add your crumb coat to. So your crumb coat is a thin layer of buttercream that just catches all the crumbs like the name suggests, and then it keeps it from being on the outside of your cake so you don't get those crumbs in the exterior. So you chill that, make sure you don't forget that step, take it back out, and that's when you add on your final coat. So that's a thick layer of buttercream. This is where I really spend a lot of time to smooth it out and make sure that it's nice and smooth on the sides and that sharp edge. It takes a long time, so no worries if it's a little uneven or a little wonky, it's still gonna taste delicious and look super cute. So if you're really not liking it, throw it back in the fridge for another 10 minutes and try again.
I mean, you're spitting it, and I'm like, look at all that technique and form. That takes some real skill. Another thing that takes a lot of skill is like the drip. Now, when I have tried it that one time, it looked like a splat instead of the actual drip. How do you achieve that?
So we start by adding our soft pink gel-based food coloring to our white chocolate ganache. And keep in mind, you can use any color. We just love pink. You can tell by our book. It's a lot of pink. But this cake, Halloween cake, is if you want to do orange and black or purple and green or whatever colors you want. So you're looking for a good consistency, a good pourable consistency. So it's kind of like a thick syrup is how I would kind of describe it. So you heat up in the microwave for about 30 seconds and give it a stir and see how it goes on for a little bit longer if you need it more liquidy. So then you take it and you make sure your cake is cold again, very important step. And you pour it on top of your cake until it's about maybe half an inch away from the edge. So you just let it pool on top like that. And then you pick up your cake and then you're gonna tilt it just so the ganache starts falling off the edge. And that's when you tilt it all the way around. You just let it fall off.
Okay.
It's so easy, guys.
It's easy for you.
You know.
As if that wasn't enough, then we can do even more extraness, and then you say throw like an apple on top?
Yes, be extra. I love this unexpected touch of the apple. And if you have kids at your Thanksgiving dinner, it's going to be the first thing they want to grab off and eat when they see the cake. So that's fun. Yeah, so you just stir up your ganache and then you take your apple. So we're using a Granny Smith apple here. You use a wooden dowel, stick it in the middle. So it's just like you're dipping apples at Halloween if you've ever done that. You just dip it in your ganache, let it kind of drip off. So this, you want to make sure you drip the majority of it off because you don't want to add too much extra ganache onto the top. And I'll just scrape off the bottom a little bit there and then stick it on top. And it's good to go.
Oh, that's pretty. I like that so much.
Gorgeous,
yeah, so good.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, next up, ladies, you make an apple crumble cookie. Can you walk us through those steps, starting with the cookie base, of course?
Yeah, so these are our apple crumble cookie sandwiches. They're my husband's absolute favorite. He's a big pie lover, so they're perfect for any pie lover in your life. And they're a great individual dessert for Thanksgiving. Yeah, so the most important part about this cookie sandwich is the chewy cookie. You want a chewy cookie because when you bite into the cookie sandwich, you want to get all the flavor without everything squishing out the side. So you don't want to overbake it. You want to look for that nice raised edge, but still it's kind of dipped in the middle there. That's how you know you have a nice chewy cookie. So we're going to start with a ring of salted caramel buttercream. It's the same salted caramel buttercream we use in the cake. And Jenna's just going to start by making what we call a nest in the cookie. You want to get along the exterior edge, giving yourself about 1/4 of an inch from the edge so that when you put that top cookie on top, it's not going to squish the product out of the side.
All right, so once you set that up, now I see what you're doing right now. You're putting in the apple filling, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the apple filling is very important, obviously, in the apple crisp cookie. So we start by cutting up some Granny Smith apples. You can use whatever apples you'd like. We just prefer it for the taste. It's a little more tart, not as sweet, so it really balances out the flavors really well. Then you boil it down with sugar and nutmeg and cinnamon and get it really nice and hot. And then the next step is just drizzling our salted caramel on there. You want to get it everywhere so it's in every single bite. Leftovers are great in coffee or on ice cream or anything like that. The next step is the oat crumble, and the texture going for the oat crumble is kind of like a wet sand and a bit of gravel thrown in there. Very technical term. But you want to make sure you get some of that nice big chunks in there because the oat crumble will absorb some of that apple pie filling moisture, and you want to make sure you still get the texture in there when you bite into it. Yeah, and then there you have it, your nice cookie sandwich.
Now, ladies, I saw a lot of steps to make that, and I don't have enough time for it, but I also don't have enough talent for it. So could you hook me up with some shortcuts?
Yeah, totally. We completely get it. We both have kids. We work. We know the time is of the essence. So you can definitely buy salted caramel from your local grocery store. Yeah, you can do a spiced granola instead of the crumble. Yeah, and then you can also just use apple pie filling from a can or from a bulk food store. So there's a lot of options, although homemade is always best.
Ashley and Jenna, your work is so impressive. Thank you so much for joining us. For more information on these recipes, check our website after the show. And of course, Jenna Ray's Cakes and Sweet Treats is available now. We'll be right back.